The story we're going to be looking at today is recorded in three of the Gospel accounts: Matthew, Mark, and Luke. We're going to be reading Matthew's account, which is in Matthew chapter 8, verses 28 to the end of chapter, which is 34. I'd encourage you to also read the parallel passages, which are in Mark 5, verses 1 to 20, and Luke 8, verses 26 to 39. For a bit of context, in the preceding verses, Jesus and his disciples have just sailed across the Sea of Galilee. Let's start reading. When he, that's Jesus, had come to the other side, to the country of the Gergesenes, there met him two demon-possessed men, coming out of the tombs, exceedingly fierce, so that no one could pass that way. And suddenly they cried out, saying, "What have we to do with you, Jesus, you Son of God? Have you come here to torment us before the time?" Now, a good way off from them, there was a herd of many swine feeding. So the demons begged him, saying, "If you cast us out, permit us to go into the herd of swine." And he said to them, "Go." So when they had come out, they went into the herd of swine, and suddenly the whole herd of swine ran violently down the steep place into the sea, and perished in the water. Then those who kept them fled, and they went away into the city and told everything, including what had happened to the demon-possessed men. And behold, the whole city came out to meet Jesus, and when they saw him, they begged him to depart their region. Before we go too far into the story, there are a few observations I want to make. Number one, the demons are under no doubt as to who Jesus is. They call him the Son of God. Number two, they know that he has absolute power over them and can choose either to cast them out or not, and to decide where they go. There's no negotiation here, as if they were equal partners at the negotiating table. Jesus is superior, and they know that. Number three, they know that in the future they are appointed for final torment, and they wonder if Jesus has come to start that final judgment. They say, "Have you come here to torment us before the time?" The demons knew that in the end they would be destroyed, so they made it their goal to cause as much destruction in the lives of these men as they could whilst they still had the chance. These men were unable to live normal lives. They had been forced to live out their days in the tombs outside of the city. The Jews would have seen the tombs as unclean, so they wouldn't have associated themselves with these men. It must have been a terribly lonely life for these men. So, to prevent being cast out and not having any hosts to inhabit, the demons begged Jesus to let them go into a local group of pigs. The fact that there are pigs here either indicates that this region is mainly populated by Gentiles, that's people who aren't Jewish, since the Jews aren't allowed to eat or keep pigs, or that they were being kept by unfaithful Jews who were disregarding the law. Either way, there is this group of pigs that the demons go into. One of the parallel passages mentions that there were about 2,000 pigs in this herd, so it makes it clear that there were many demons afflicting these men. It shows how serious their bondage was. But even this large number of demons is no problem for Jesus. It's unclear why Jesus allowed the demons to enter these pigs. It could have been to make it obvious that the demons had indeed been cast out. It could have been a display of his power to the demons. It could have been a rebuke to the herdsmen if they were indeed Jews. We might think this unfair on the herdsmen to have lost their property, but we can learn from this how small the value of temporal riches are in the estimation of God, in comparison to the life of a person. Sometimes God lets us lose things that we care about. The reasons for this aren't always clear to us, but we know that God has a plan in all things. The owners were so terrified to be in the presence of such spiritual power that they made no demand for restitution for the loss of their property and begged Jesus to leave their region. The people were awestruck but unrepentant. They wanted no more of Jesus Christ. This shows the hardness of their hearts and their desire to remain in sin. The healed demon-possessed man, on the other hand, demonstrated the true faith and repentance of a changed heart and begged to be allowed to follow Jesus, which is mentioned in one of the parallel passages. Perhaps the contrast between the saved and unsaved was a lesson for the disciples and all who witnessed the event. So, as we conclude, what lessons can we take away from this? Number one, Jesus is the Son of God. Number two, Jesus is triumphant over unclean spirits. Number 3, Jesus liberates the captive and gives hope to hopeless people, even Gentile people. Number 4, Jesus demands a choice. Love him and his salvation, or love your prosperity and your wealth, namely your pigs. The people in this story failed the test. Perhaps this story is recorded for us so that we don't make the same mistake. We urge you to take the story to heart and follow Jesus. Thanks for listening.